All right, guys, welcome in to a fun little video I'm doing talking about BO1. BO1 Zombies. That's the only zombies that I play. We're going to be taking a look at BO1 irrelevant areas slash rooms of maps. Kind of a little just random video I wanted to do. Talk about some of the most. This will be classified as like the most unused area of every map, beginning with Kino. I'm only doing BO1, so it's Kino 5 and then the four map packs, not the remastered. So starting with Kino, this one's pretty obvious. I know there's now a training area that you can do involving this room, but it is the boiler room. And I didn't even know it was called the boiler room. It's so irrelevant, but it's just a terrible, terrible area. Nobody goes the outside route, or at least nobody used to go the outside route when people were playing this game. And you get into this area. I mean, there is one of the rocks for the song, but other than that, it's very irrelevant. Everyone's played Kino 1,000 times. This area, if I had to guess, is the least utilized, at least for me, and I'm sure for many people. There's nothing you can do in it. You hit the box. If the box is there to move it, that's about it. So I would say definitely the boiler room is what it's called. Again, I don't even know the call out for it or the name of it, but that is what it's called. And there is also a trap there, but I know there's like a BO3 remastered strategy. I'm not focused on BO3. This is BO1. Nobody uses this area in BO1, let's be honest. It's completely irrelevant. Moving on to 5. For 5, you have, I would say, because 5, when you think about it, it's such a small map. I would say the most irrelevant area would be one of the 3 rooms, and it's certainly not the pig room because you can actually train in the pig room and it's bigger. So I would say the room with the Bowie knife, which can be classified as maybe like a laboratory. It's hard to really say. I call the other room the bomb shelter room, which I think there is a legitimate camping strat, 2-player, 3-player, or 4-player you can do in that room. This room, there's just nothing going on. There's a box, you can get the Bowie knife, you can get one of the parts for the trap, but nobody spends any amount of time in this room, and it really is just a death sentence. So it's an irrelevant area of the map. You have the 3 rooms. This one, I would say, is the least utilized. The Pentagon middle area, the DeathCon area, is always utilized. And then, the spawn, very, very small map. This was mainly based around pretty much fully repurposed from the campaign. So limited options to pick, but I'm going to go with that. Moving on to Ascension, this was the first map pack. So this one you could argue a few different places, but it has to be up on top of, you could say it's the first lander or the third lander, but it's right looking out to where the rocket launch is. This area is just never utilized. You have the 2 windows, you have the sickle, which is kind of it's funny they randomly threw into this map the sickle, and it's a death sentence. You can't train. I mean, there's 4 or 5 spots on Ascension you can train. This is not one of them. Nobody ever goes here for a prolonged period of time. You do have Speed Cola that is kind of in the entryway to this area, but it's kind of an odd area to where it's like indoor, outdoor. I mean, I guess it's fully outdoor, but there's like a roof overhang covering most of it, and it's like an outdoor hallway leading to where the lander is, and it's just never utilized, let's be honest. Moving on to Call of the Dead. So with Call of the Dead, there is 3 different spots I could have picked from. I probably should have picked the double tap spot just because I think people don't even know that double tap exists on this map, because the barrier is just, the map design was just, why would they do that? It makes no sense. You're going to power, why would you open up that area? But I didn't go with that area. The area I went with is really not a room. I mean, you could also say the stakeout room. That's kind of obvious, but this is even worse. I mean, it's this area. Once you go down the slide, there's speed cola there, there's a sickle, but then there's just this random nothingness. And the only way to get out of this area is by jumping down into the main training spot. But this area, nobody uses it. It is like for the Easter egg. There's a part you got to hit a radio that's randomly positioned. There's water there, but there's just not enough room to do anything without freezing in terms of trying to train. And you can't camp up there because the zombies can climb up. So it's very irrelevant. So I would say that one for Call of the Dead. Next, we do have Shangrila. So for Shangrila, this one was a little bit harder. I would say the it's hard to explain exactly, but it would be if you're going the waterfall way, it is the door or the debris before power. And there's a perk or there's a random perk that spawns in there. But because nobody goes the waterfall way, I mean, actually people do that now because it's like a strategy to keep the one door closed the other way. But I never go this way ever. I just don't really like this area, and it's kind of like a half flooded mine, I guess. I feel like no one ever goes in here. There's no point in camping in here. There's one of the geysers there, and you'll normally get like dead shot that spawns in that perk location, but it is technically a random perk that spawns there. But just nobody uses it, and based off of its location, also if you're training in the main center tower, which was previously when the game first came out the most area where everyone was training, even though it really wasn't that. I mean, there's really no great training spots in Shangri-La, but I would say that for sure is the most irrelevant area of the map. And then moving on to Moon, believe it or not, it just takes one single door by. I would say it is the first room on the opposite side of the original starting room where nobody goes. And I don't know what this room is supposed to be. I originally thought it was like the actual command center, but I don't really know. There's a PM63. Nobody uses that. It's a terrible gun compared to the MPL going the opposite way. Everybody just takes the opposite way. You cannot do anything in this room because there's these big walls up. There's like four different giant walls that have they're like supports or whatever. You can't really do anything in it other than die. So, and technically there is a training spot if you go this way, but you have to keep a specific door closed. This is just underutilized. Nobody ever used it. And it is just the first room, but nobody went this way. And if you went this way, you're not staying in here because it's just a PM63 and there's no room. But just a little fun video I wanted to do, guys. That's going to do it for this one.